Okay, I've got a confession. First of all, I want to preface it by saying I love when people change their minds. It's the best thing ever because until you can learn to change your mind, to learn to admit that you changed your mind, then what is the point of life? So what I did was yesterday I made a vlog through as a result of a suggestion made to me about commercialization at Christmas, and then I almost instantly deleted it because I had a massive attack of self-consciousness. That's actually a bit dramatic. I didn't have a massive attack of self-consciousness. I just thought actually I don't want anyone to see me right now, and so I deleted. But yeah, so I wanted to put loads and loads of time and thought, but unfortunately, I don't have much time or thought into addressing a suggestion by my friend Phil that I do a vlog about feminism without mentioning white male privilege. Now, I've come to the conclusion that that is actually impossible, and maybe a better feminist than me can do a vlog about feminism without mentioning white male privilege. And then I moved on to the thinking that actually, is it necessary? Is policing our language really conducive to actually communicating the message of feminism? And I thought, no. And then I arrived at the conclusion that actually it's maybe not about not mentioning white male privilege, but maybe about subverting our notion of white male privilege and whether it is actually privilege or whether it is actually a massive burden. And I think that is the crux for me of feminism. That the crux part of feminism is the idea that men and women need not assume roles that have been prescribed for them by a society which likes to simplify things and compartmentalize things. So, um, for example, feminism focuses a lot on women like breaking out of this whole idea of like needing a man to save them, or like looking up to men, or being like the weaker, more needy sex, and actually the result of women being in that box is that men are in the, or I don't know which way it works first, probably the men one came first, um, is that men are in the box of masculine, must always be ready, must always assume control of a situation, must always be the protector, and actually neither of those things help each other. Like those roles, like men and women, need not be defined against each other. And I think that is probably looking at that is probably more helpful in engaging people. Not that I'm going to engage people, but like other people might. Looking at that is maybe more helpful in engaging people in the idea that feminism is not just working for women, but it is working for like all humans, and that includes men. And that is acknowledging that white male privilege is not necessarily a privilege, but is actually a bit of a burden. And then we move on to things like toxic masculinity, which is just like rife at the moment. I saw a thing yesterday. It was like a jokey thing about like guys calling each other mate, and I was like, yeah, I totally get that. Like when men start aggressively calling each other mate, I'm like, oh my god. You can tell like a toxic masculine situation is about to escalate, and there's going to be like an explosion of toxic masculinity, and it makes me really really cringe, but it also makes me feel really sad. Like I always feel for some reason when I hear men like calling each other mate like 20,000 times in one conversation, I feel sad because it almost feels like a passive aggressive acknowledgement that you are both that they are both or they are all kind of striving to be in this alpha male role, and that's something that makes me really quite uncomfortable because then I end up feeling sorry for the men who do that, and I can't really explain to myself why I feel that level of sympathy. And I think one of the things I think is great about feminism is that it doesn't just work. It doesn't just work for women, but it just seeks to break down those ideas that we have that men and women are completely separate things, and that they are simple, separate concepts. And of course, they're not. I mean, gender's fluid. I mean, I know that's going to annoy some people, but gender is can be fluid, and that men and women, are individuals. So like. Um, every individual is like a holistic being, um, in the context of other beings, but ultimately separate from each other. We're interconnected, but we're also separate beings. And I think we need not start defining what. It's tempting to be like, okay, I'm a woman, so I'm gonna like this, and I'm gonna behave in this way, or like blah blah blah. And actually, we've confined ourselves taking social constructs and becoming those social constructs, and actually it need not, if we really take feminism to the level of like acknowledging that it is not just beneficial for women, but it is beneficial for men, and it's just and everyone benefits when there's equality, like, and not just equality, but acknowledgement that we are individuals and we are diverse and complex beings. And I think maybe that's the best way to deal with talking about feminism without mentioning white male privilege, because it's nigh on impossible to talk about feminism without mentioning white male privilege, but changing the definition of white male privilege and acknowledging that it is not necessarily a privilege in the sense of something to enjoy and relish and like and assume, but um, considering it as actually something which is a bit of a downer. Like, I wouldn't want to be a white man. I would not want to be a white man, a white straight man right now, because then I'd have to be like saying mate all the time to people and like, you know, trying to, I don't know, just maneuver myself in a sphere which wants me to be on top all the time. And I just, there are some extraordinarily beneficial things to being a woman, and I think feminism acknowledges that as well, that being a woman is really cool. Actually, being a man is probably really hard. And like the whole thing that men can't cry, men can't, be weak or whatever. It's just such a downer. And I hope that answers the question. And I'd love to hear some thoughts, especially from the people who like to discuss these things with me. My phone was ringing and it was Ali, and I can't answer because I've got to go and edit now for like 2 hours, an hour and a half. Okay, but I'll call you back later. Okay, bye.